going to demonstrate how to remove Gibson typical tuners. These are Gibson Kluson Deluxe style, but mostly it's universal. I've already removed the strings. This is a good time to dust off your headstock and things too. This is my Les Paul Jr. 2019, and these tuners are okay. They're fine, but I prefer locking tuners. I prefer higher ratio tuners a little bit, and I really like these Hipshot Grip-Lock tuners that don't require drilling. So take your 10mm wrench or socket and remove the old tuner bushings and washers. Save those because somebody will want them, or you can use them again someday. I also want to mention that these are not too tight, which is good because they only need to be really hand tightened. If you crank these down, if you try to crank these down, they'll crack the finish, and you don't want that. It'll put cracks around this and even the paint, and it looks like this one might have some markings from something like that in the past. We'll take a look when we take this off. I'm just gonna set these over here. So this is a pretty easy thing to do, whether these are, you're replacing these with Hipshots or Grovers or whatever. The process is pretty much the same. Just be gentle, you know? So yeah, that just appears to be remnants of the buffing finishing process. So I'll just wipe these guys down. Get some of that manufacturing dust off there. Got a chance to do a tour of the Gibson custom shop recently because a gentleman that I sold the guitar to, the Gibson XPL, actually is a team lead there, and he offered that as part of the transaction, and I thought that was really great. I'm going to use this back of this box, and you can see this comes with instructions on how to do this, which you can use and read and are quite straightforward. But let's do this together, shall we? Maybe I'll fast forward this part because it's boring removal of Phillips head screws, which we won't have to worry about when we put these on, which is really great. I like these Hipshot tuners so much. You can tell because I reused the boxes for my old tuners. So I have 4 or 5 boxes of Hipshot tuners that have the tuners I replaced in them. Which again is handy to have because these Gibson Deluxes are better than a lot of other tuners. So I might get some guitar that these would be good on. I have a Gibson SG 200, is it a 250, whatever, that sunburst thing. And it has a really terrible set of tuners on it, but they're 3 in a row on a strip. So I had to order some Klusons for that. Maybe I'll do a simple video with those replacements too, and hopefully it goes well. But yeah, Hipshot products are really great. They have the Baby Grand wraparound bridge also, which is a really great replacement for a wraparound wrap tail bridge like this Gibson has, this Junior. So these are the universal mounting plates here, and they're pretty clever. they have little ridges on them. Let's see here. And so I believe they mount thusly. You get your tuner in there and it locks onto that ridge. Must be this way then. I might have to consult with the instructions. No, that was right. Maybe it just sits on that ridge with the... Yeah, I guess it's just the... So the screw hole, you can mount these with screws, but when you use the plate, it's the screw hole there that holds it in place. So you just mount them up like that, I guess. Oh, that one's missing it. What is going on here? That's not going to stay in, so what did I do wrong? Let's consult the instructions. Last resort. Evidently, it's been a while since I used these. Small plates have one set of tabs. Large plates have two sets of tabs. Okay. Alright, so there's three different kinds here that you need to be utilized. Got it. The ridges. So there need to be those ridges on each tuning peg. This is going to be easier if I just put these on. So I'm going to put the bushings on. The first one and then the second one. I'm also trying to salvage these strings, so I thought that I might take them off one at a time, but it's really impractical with this style. So I'm just screwing in the bushing into the tuner here from the back, attempting to. It's being a bit stubborn. And again, these only need to be hand tightened, so if you're using a wrench like this, don't exert a lot of force, just until it grabs. Finger tight. I often use a socket because of that reason alone. I'm making sure these aren't staggered. They shouldn't be. They're three on the side. Yeah. So I'll make sure those are snug once I get a whole side on. So yeah, you just put the washer over the bushing with the nut and screw it in to the tuner. That one went in better. More easily hand tighten there. There we go. And then finally this one. And I'm going to show you how those work close up. It's a pretty genius way. The only reason that you screw the tuners into the back of the headstock is so they don't spin around freely. But these little mounts prevent that from happening. So kind of clever. And you're not adding extra holes to the back of your headstock, which a lot of times, you know, when you're adding Grovers or Schallers or other things, depending on the headstock, you're drilling additional screw holes. And that's annoying. You don't want extra screw holes on the back of your headstock. You can avoid it, and you can. So that's how those work. Pretty graceful. And they're good tuners. They're quite good. They're locking too. I don't know if you noticed that, but these have traditional thumb screws that you lock the strings into place. And you know, a lot of guys say, oh, you don't need locking tuners, you just aren't stringing your guitar up right. There's a degree of truth to that. I have learned over the years with better ways, more proper method in my mind anyway. That's very opinionated subject too, on how to string up strings around a tuner. But this is much more convenient to have locking tuners, and you know, for string changes and for tuning, because you don't have the slack around the post that you'll have with traditional tuners, non-locking tuners. Oh, that's got a little bit of a chip there. Bummer. Which will be hidden, and was hidden by this tuner. Yeah, you know, that should be a factory second or something, Gibson. Come on, man. As I said, these tuners aren't the worst in the world. I mean, they're Gibson tuners, but I don't love the look of the white knobs, and I know it's traditional for a junior, but I've already kind of dressed this junior up a little bit, and I'm using it quite a bit, so I want it to be highly functional, you know what I mean? Okay, I put that at the top and that at the bottom. I see too that these little designed ends give you an indicator of how they should be put on. So let's get those kind of in there to keep it in place while we repeat the procedure on the front side. I want to add to it, it's hardly noticeable, but it seems like these washers are flatter on one side than the other. So you want to keep the more beveled side on the top. So, you know. Another thing about using a 10mm socket is you're less likely to mar up your headstock, which I don't think I'm doing, hopefully. Okay, just about done here. Had that one upside down. And I think with the universal mounting plate, the back of the stock looks kind of cool. To me anyway, I think it looks pretty cool. And you know what? I see that I did the, I see I did these front ones incorrectly. I gotta turn this upside down and redo those. I'll show you here what I did wrong. Learn from my mistakes, folks. That's why this is a good instructional video. So the little edges, they're not supposed to just catch on the mounting screw. They actually catch on the body of the tuners. So I have to take these off and fix that. Got it upside down. Pay attention to the instructions if you bother reading them, or this video. This is right, this is wrong. They should be, the body of the tuners should rest between the two lips on the universal mounting plate, like that. I don't know if you can see that, but you know, I had it like this, and it wasn't. The screw hole would have worked, but that's not how they're designed. They're designed to rest on both sides of the tuner. So this one's stubborn. Tell we're going live without a net here, folks. But yeah, see, I flipped that around, and now the body of the tuner will rest within the universal mounting plate. I think that should go under. And that is the correct installation method. Kind of leave them loose until you get them all lined up, because the middle one, as you see, has some adjustability, so it'll be universal, so it will count with different lengths of screw distance. Over for you now so you can see what they look like. And very sharp, very low profile. Just lightly tighten these guys up. No need to crack the finish. And there you have it. They look good, don't they? Now that they're installed correctly. Hey, thanks for stopping by and watching.